Hey, Mr. Dillwood. For my sequence analysis, I did the piano, and the scene I chose was the one where Ada decides to throw the piano overboard. And the scene starts with Ada, her daughter Flora, and Alistair leaving New Zealand because George Baines, which was Ada's husband, kicked them off the island. And while on the boat, Flora tells Ava through sign language that she wants to throw the piano overboard and she thinks that it's spoiled, and the tribal people throw the piano overboard, and Ada decides to go down there with it in the ocean. And she purposely has her foot caught in the rope, so she starts to drown. And the main message in this scene, I think, is just how much the piano means to Ada. I feel that it's the most important thing to her, like above Flora and Alistair. She loves it, and she chose to end her life since she can no longer play it. She feels that, like, she realizes that without playing the piano, she should just be considered dead. And this scene, or the whole movie actually, is like set in the 19th century, like in New Zealand, and the mise en scene is a perfect example of that. Like the props, like the piano, the boat, and the costumes, like Ada's dress and the way they're like clothed, and it's just one of the many aspects of the mise en scene in the film. And during the scene where the tribal men are about to throw the piano overboard, you see a close up of Flora, and she sort of like treads the water with her hand, and you see how she is considering thinking about um, jumping in with her piano. Um, I noticed that Flora, Ada, and Alistair they're all three of them are wearing blue or dark blue, and dark blue it represents intelligence and unity. And I thought that was really interesting because, you know, Flora is like 8 or 9 years old and she knows sign language. Um, she communicates with her mom through sign language, and Alistair, he grew up with these tribal people. He knows their language, knows their culture. And Ada is just amazing at the piano, and they're all three really intelligent in their own way. And and Unity, they're sort of this weird family now. So I think that was really interesting. And um, throughout the scene, you see the camera angle sort of shift between the characters, and like when you hear the piano being lifted, you see it being thrown into the water, and the camera's underwater when the piano is thrown overboard, um, and it goes back to the rope when Ada gets her foot caught in it. And throughout the scene, there is diegetic and non-diegetic music. There's a lot of diegetic sounds, like when you hear the piano like creaking out of the boat, or when you hear it splash into the water, or you hear the tribal men are rowing in the water. You hear that a lot. And there's non-diegetic music, which is the score when she um, gets thrown into the water by the piano, and you can start to hear the piano music in the background. Towards the end of the scene where Ada decides to live, the camera is placed where you can see her rise out of the water, and she takes a breath, which is another diegetic sound. And the movie sort of slows down a bit, and Ada's voiceover starts, and that's where the scene ends. So there you have it, sequence analysis.